Okay, so I start out by just getting him, I try to get him to stretch down a little bit at the beginning. He's not wonderful about it, but I try just to get him to try to use his back a little bit more. He's always naturally just wanted to go quite hollow, so I try to get him to stretch down as much as I can at the beginning. And I'd already done a little bit of trot before this, so that's why I went straight into canter. But I just keep asking him to try to give in his back, try to come over his back a little bit at the beginning of my ride. And I kind of do this with every horse, but I try to not just pick them up right away. And he's tough because he wants to invert like that. So you have to make sure that you don't just fall into that trap. And then I try to not do too much just kind of going around the arena. I try to encourage him to stretch, and then I'll do a halt and I'll kind of push him off of my outside leg to where we turn around and go the other way, which I'm going to do right here. And I never slam on their back to make them walk. I always kind of think about trying to post into the walk. That was pretty good there. He just learned that the other day, how to move off the leg like that. So he's still a little bit green. He's better from right to left than he is from left to right. See how he hollows there when you go into that, especially that right lead canter. He still isn't as balanced to the right as he is to the left. But he's just got to build that top line. So even though he doesn't want to give too much of a stretch, you want to just encourage it so that he can try to come over his back a little bit. And then I'm going to go back to walk and push him away from my left leg now. He's a little worse this direction. As you can see, he gets a little angry for a second, doesn't want to move. But I just keep asking. And then I've kind of gone both ways now, so now I start to pick up the reins. I put my leg on. He sometimes will rip the reins out of your hands. You just keep asking until he comes into the contact. Don't be afraid of him. Sometimes he will, and it'll show you later in the video, sometimes he will kind of literally root the reins directly out of your hands, and that's kind of the only naughty thing that he does, is he will kind of lash out against your leg a little bit. But I mean, he really comes together nicely and sits on his hocks and has a really lovely canter. I just cantered on the long side. And then I'm going to do a walk and change direction this way. That's that naughty kind of pull the reins out of your hands type thing. And he does it again. That wasn't a great trot transition, so I do it again, and he gets kind of irritated here for a second, where he kind of roots the reins out of my hands. So I kind of give him a little half halt, bring him back together a little bit more, and then I'm back into trot, and that was better transition. So I give him a little pat. Just the point is, I mean, he's green, but you don't have to be afraid to put your leg on. Sometimes he will get a little stuck and will go backwards. He's never offered to rear or anything like that. I don't escalate the situation, but I don't back off with my leg because I don't want him to think that that's okay. So I just keep it on nicely and softly and encourage him to go forward. And we do a little bit of canter this way. Like I said, he's not as soft this direction. And I get off his back, and I mean, he likes to be pretty high in the head. He seems the most comfortable there. I hope over time he will get more comfortable with a little lower frame so he doesn't kind of hollow his back so much, but going to change direction and then get out of my saddle and canter the other way. And I just kind of give him a second to get off his back without him thinking that he's going to run off with me before I start jumping. So he's got a lovely canter. It's very floaty when he's listening. He likes to pop that right shoulder out, which, I mean, that's just a racehorse thing. So you just want to constantly kind of keep reminding him to be supple on that right rein. And then I'm going to start jumping, and I really make sure that I don't come running at the cross rails in the trot. I always try to think about it going as slow as I can, not speeding up on the way there. And you really want to keep a feel of his mouth all the way to the fence. Not a hard feel, but just that you're not going to drop him at the last second. Even if you're wrong in your distance, you want to make sure that you just keep a feel of him, but also be able to grab mane so that you don't ever pop him in the mouth. I always grab mane in trot. I never, because especially in trot, you're more likely to kind of get behind him and end up popping him in the mouth. So, and also make sure, I mean, he is scopy, so you don't want to get left behind. And I'm going to do it in canter. That's quite good. He's getting better about landing on the right lead. He used to always want to land on the left, which is just a racehorse thing, but he's getting better about wanting to land on the right lead. And I'm going to come at it again. He's very good about waiting. If you ask him to, he will. Same, and that's just that learning. He's learned to trot fences with the contact, so he's learned he doesn't need to run at the fences because I don't abandon him. So you just want to keep a feel all the way to the base. That's a pretty good turn on the haunches. Then I come around again. I think he gets a little bit bold here and does a little chip stride. Yep. But he's quite unfazed by it. Just come around again. I'm going to sit up a little more this time and ask him to wait a little bit more. Ask him a little more for that right rein. So you get a little straighter. There we go. And he's very scopy. And then I'm going to come around to this vertical. I mean, you don't have to jump him that much. Like, he's quite good, and he's very brave. He's not worried about fillers of any kind. He just goes straight to the stuff. And that's like a good 2.9, 2.11 vertical. And then I'm going to come back around to this little blue thing, which he'd never even seen this before. And he just comes nicely to it. Same thing. I just keep a feel. They don't come at it fast. So if they stop, that's fine. They are just never allowed to come at it crooked. And if they stop straight. And then I had my working student put up the rail, and I'm going to come back around to this Liverpool. And of course, he doesn't even bat an eye. He just pops right over it because he's just perfect. And then this is the first time that I'm going to do this course. I do it twice, I think. This first time he has the second fence down, but he just barely tapped with his hind feet, and the cup is actually broken on one of them. So he just barely tapped it and it fell down. But he's very good here. He's pretty good. He does not have lead changes, but he's pretty good about his simple changes. Just be patient, and he's quite good. And I'm going to come around, just ask him to wait, which he does very nicely. And like I said, he just barely taps it. Does very nicely there. I'm just going to ask for that right rein so that he comes into this quite straight. And he's a unicorn, so of course he's perfect. Had never even jumped this before. He just, like, you're seeing every single jump that I've jumped so far in this ride. And he's perfect. Come around to this, and he's a little bold, so I just tell him to wait. And then jumps for that really well. And then I kind of forgot what my plan was here. But made the turn, and then I just got a little brave. I was planning to just go to the blue, but I was like, you know what, we're going to angle that. And he does it perfectly. Give him a big pat. And then this is the second time I'm going to do this course. And he actually wasn't as good over the Oxer this time to start with, but still quite good. Just a little crooked on that right side, so I just kind of tapped it, but he was so good. And then just a nice simple change. Gets a little rooty. He does that sometimes. You just ignore it. And then come around to this again. He gives this a lot of height this time because he tapped it the first time. And then kind of taps out of this hind foot, but that's okay. And then I get him straight again. Tell him to wait. Really use my body to tell him to wait, and he's pretty good about waiting for me. He's got a huge stride, so it's amazing how well he waits. And then I tell him, whoa, here, because he's coming in a little hot, but he adds that extra stride. He's very good there. And then I get brave from the last time, and I'm like, okay, now I'm going to angle all three. And of course, he's perfect. Perfect boy. Really good. And then I decided to put the jump up a little bit, this Oxer, and the first time he came around and kind of got himself underneath it, but so I came back around to it again. I think he just didn't realize that it was bigger. Come back around to it again, and of course he's perfect. He just goes, oh, okay. It's the biggest I've ever jumped, but okay. And then I tried this line the other way, and which is a little harder this direction, so he gets a little confused and adds in that extra ugly bunny hop stride, shows off his athleticism there. So I'm going to come back around and do that again. See if I can get a better stride. I jump that vertical because it's in the way. I'm going to do my simple change and make a circle just so I have myself some more room. And then this time he figures it out pretty well. Because he's the smartest baby in all the land. Whenever he's unsure, he just jumps higher because he's perfect. Give a big pat for that. And then I decide I'm going to do that outside line back the other way. He's quite good there. Very good there. And then I decide to add in a few more jumps. I do this line back the other way, and he's brilliant. Really lovely. I asked for that right rein. It's hard because our rein is quite small, and he's got such a big step. But, yeah. So, thanks for watching. Perfect boy. Gonna miss him. And then at the end of every ride on every horse, I just do a little bit of long and low. Teach them to stretch down and give over their back. And this is what I'm wanting at the beginning of my ride, but he usually only kind of gives it to me at the end. But that's more the goal there. You can see where the neck needs to build the top.